So that's where we are this evening, courtesy of UNDP, United Nations Development Program, tonight, as they will be unveiling different innovations that might be able to curb some challenges that the nation and our communities in the nation are facing. So I would urge you to stay glued to your screen, whether you're watching us whether you're watching us live from Mibawa TV, or whether you're watching via Facebook, or you're watching us via Twitter. Wherever you are, please stay glued, because tonight it's going down very well. As you can hear in my background, that is the Daughters Band, a female band where they're playing good music, and they will be playing good music for you tonight as well. So stay glued to your screen, as I said, because there are a lot of activities going down here. We are going to have panel discussions, we are going to have presentations, we're going to have documentaries. So it's a jam-packed event at the Four Seasons in Lilongwe. Titelo kuti ifeyo tili kuno ku Lilongwe, capital ya dziko la Malawi. Kuno tili ndi ku Four Seasons ku City Center ku Lilongwe, kumene City Center ndi malo odziwika bwino, kumene kuli manyumba aboma osiyana-siyana, nyumba zaboma zosiyana-siyana, monga Reserve Bank of Malawi iliko nkuno, Parliament iliko nkuno, BICC Hotel iliko nkuno, komanso ndithu kumene kuno tili ndi mbalimbali mwa msewu olunjika ku nyumba yachifumu, the State House. Kuno ndithu a UNDP ali ndithu ndi zochitika zimene akufuna kutukula maluso osiyana-siyana amene anthu amachita ndithu ma innovations mu Chingerezi. Kwaunikira bwino nkuona kuti tingapange promote bwanji ma innovations amenewa kuti afikire nathanso mwina ndi mavuto ena amene timakumana nawo m'maderamo komanso ngati dziko as a whole. Just a bit of a background about what UNDP is all about. As I said, it is the United Nations for Development Program. This is an organization that is aimed at meeting some challenges that underdeveloped nations are facing, such as Malawi. It was formed in the early 1960s, and it is really doing a good job even here in Malawi and other African nations. So as I said, we're here, and the theme that is finding and growing locally sourced solutions to emerging challenges and opportunities. So this is the launch of UNDP Acclab in Lilongwe. Tikutero kuti ayika ndithu mutu umene wagonerapo kumano onsewu kuti pali maluso ena amene tikufunika kuti tatukule kuti afikire mavuto amene tikumana nawonso ngati dziko. Ine dzina langa ndi Abenachi Dzanja Nkoma. Kumasanaku ndinacheza ndi mzanga Patrick Njawala amene ndinamufunsa maka kuti kodi mkumano umenewu ukutanthauza kuti chani, komanso kuti ndi wofunikira motani, komanso kuti tikamati kodi Acclab ndi kuti chani. Tione kuti kodi Patrick Njawala ndinacheza naye bwanji kuno ku Four Seasons chakumasanaku. Is Patrick Njawala, my colleague from Mibawa Television, just to give us a highlight on what is happening tonight. So Patrick, welcome.
Thank you, Abena.
Evening.
Evening, you look great.
Thank you.
Great.
Just take us through what is
launch of what is being called an accelerator lab. This launch is being made courtesy of United Nations Development Program. You may be wondering what an accelerator lab is. An accelerator lab, as the word suggests, is an initiative by the UNDP aimed solely at ensuring that development goals that UNDP has set to be achieved by the year 2030 2030 are set in motion. There are about 14 sustainable development goals that UNDP has put in motion, and one such goal is that which encourages innovation. So what is happening tonight is a launch for the speeding up of innovation through what is now being called the Accelerator Lab. As the name suggests, a laboratory is a place where you experiment and you nurture things. So what is happening, each and every country that is taking part in these accelerator labs is trying to find solutions to problems that are there. So the role that UNDP, of course with the support of government and other stakeholders, is doing is to nurture that element of innovation. You know, the long and short of an innovation is that one has to look at what problems or challenges exist and then finding a solution to that challenge or problem. So what we are witnessing tonight is a launch of that.
What else is happening tonight? Well,
in view of the fact that we are living in COVID times, this event has been scaled down. It should have been a very, very big event, you're right. But what we've done is we have scaled it down, but then amplified it. This event is live on television. It is also being streamed on Facebook. There are people are getting accessing it via Twitter. So although where we are at Four Seasons, it's limited due to the COVID restrictions, we are respecting the COVID restrictions, but out there the reach is a lot. The principal secretary will be the guest of honor, and what will happen is that he will come, and when he comes, he will see pavilions. There are about 3 pavilions of 3 innovations that have happened. Other than that, in the spirit of entertainment, but also to enhance one of the development, sustainable development goals that UNDP has set up, there will be a performance by an all-girl band called the Daughters Band. Abena, you know well that the trend over the years has been that women have been on the receiving end almost everywhere. But the Daughters Band is one such band whereby the women the young women are the ones that are actually making music, and they are really good. They are not the dancing sisters that you have tended to see. They are making serious music. So it's going to be a night to remember, a night full of fun, a night full of knowledge, a night that Mibawa and UNDP, we are happy to be associated with. A night Malawi should be proud of. Yes.
Muna bangono nchijewa kungo dzwitsa amene akona program mene kuti kodi kukhale kuchitika zotani usiku uno kumambo mene.
Zikomo kwambiri Abena, usiku uno ndi mwambo okhazikisa chimene pa Chingerezi akunena kuti Accelerator Lab. Nchidule chake ndi Accelerator Lab tinganene kuti ndi dongosolo lopitisa patsogolo luso limene ndingoyambira kubwerera kukutengani mbuyo kunena kuti abungwe limene loona pa chitukuko pa dziko lapansi pa Chingerezi amati UNDP anayika mfundo zokuti pofika mchaka cha 2030 mfundo zimenezo za chitukukozo zizakhale kuti zakwaniritsidwa. Ino mukuziwa bwino mbuyo mutakaduma mwina pa Malawi mwina Vision 2020 pano kuti Vision 2063. Koma iyi timene tukamba ndi abungwe la UNDP. Ndiye pali mfundo nditu kanga zokwanira hapo about 14. Mfundo imodzi mwa mfundo zimenezi ndiyo limbikisa luso. Pali mfundo zina zolimbikisa kuti pasakhale kusiyana pakati pa amayi ndi abambo, koma apapa maka tikuunikira mfundo zimenezi. So imodzi mwa imene ndi imene tikukhazikisa ndio tikukamba za mwambo umene onena kuti Accelerator Lab. Ndiye UNDP kumaiko onse amene izi zikuchitika, dziko lililonse likumatenga mavuto amene makumana nawo ndikuti kodi gwero lake nchani, komanso tingachite solve bwanji mavuto amene tikupanga nawo. Mwachidule nditaunena kuti innovation pa chimene tikunena chonchi pa Chingerezi ndi chinthu chosavuta, ungozindikira kuti kodi pali vuto lanji, ndipo vuto limene tingaligonjese bwanji, ndipo amene angapange innovate ndi aliyense. Sizitengera kuti ndi ophunzira kaya ndi osaphunzira kaya ndi otani, munthu ina aliyense kungoona kuti apa pali vuto lanji. solution yake ikhala bwanji. Zimene zikuchitika lerolo ndi zimene zonso.
Ambali po wonetsera maluso amene ena ali nawo otakozandiza maboma komanso madami akuchokera aliso zina zimene zikuchitika
usiku uno pali performance kapena ndithu ndi kodi Chingereza chabwino chichewa chabwino cha performance nja
tingota imbi
pali ndithu zamsanguluso zimene zikuchokera kwa gulu la atsikana okhaokha. Atsikana amene akuimba zida zamagesi. Inu ndine tikuziwa atu kuti nthawi zambiri atsikana akakhala kuti akutenga nawo gawo kumakhala kuvina. Ena ake akuimba magitala iwo komavina. Koma performance imene ili amadzulo ano ndiyo kuti atsikana ndi amene akupanga nyimbo. Ndipo sizamasewera kukwacha magitala kumenya ngoma zija. Ndi chimodzinso mwa ndondomeko imene abungwe limene ona za chitukuko akufuna kulimbikitsa kuti pasakhale kusiyana pakati pa atsikana ndi amayi. Pepana atsikana amayi ndi abambo kuti chimene inu mungapange kapena chimene ine ndingapange inunso mukwanise kupanga. Ndithu zimenezo ndimene zikuchitika usiku.
Ndamvetsedwanso gawo lina kuti unakatha kukhala mwambo waukulu obweretsa gulu lalikulu pamodzi koma ifanzi zifukwa zinaso malinga ndi COVID-19
ndizoona mwambo wodi umayenera kukhala waukulu tikanakapanga kaya ku stadium kaya ku mahotelo akulu koma chifukwa mmene mwanenera kuti nthawi ino ndi ya COVID zinthu zasintha siti upanga zinthu mmene timapangira boma ndi ndondomeko yoti anthu tisamakumane ambiri pamalo amodzi ndi zimene apanga tabwera kuno kumalo otchedwa Four Seasons ku Lilongwe. Koma kuti no mwambo ufikire anthu ambiri ndi zimene apanga nchifukwa chake tikuonesa pakanema kuonjezera pamenepo anthuso akutha kuonera mwambo umenewo mmene zikuchitikira live pa Facebook. Palinso ndondomeko zina amati Twitter kuti anthu chimene chikuchitika panopo anthu ena akhala kumafotokozera kuti panopo zikuchitika zakuti zithunzi zikuchitika. Ndithu ndimene zikukhalira.
Ndathokoza kwambiri Patrick Fachibodza tifotokozera kuti usiku no pakali pochitika zotani.
Zikomo kwambiri ponditana.
Amene ndithu ndi Patrick Njawala ndithu mmene anena kuti ndi nzathu ku Mibawa television ametha kutsatira zonse zimene zikhale zikuchitika madzulo ano maka fotokoza kwake anena kuti ndikupititsa patsogolo maluso anthu osiyanasiyana maluso akafikire pa mavuto amene ndithu ali mmadera komanso ngakhale dziko kuti nalonso lipindule. Just in brief, this was my colleague Patrick Njawala just explaining a bit of what is going to take place tonight. So I hope you'll be glued to your screen. Don't change that dial. Patrick, I had a chat with him earlier in the afternoon where he was trying to explain what really is going to happen tonight on behalf of the UNDP officials, just explaining more of how important this initiative is to the country, mostly to the development of our country. So, as he said that this event would have been even bigger than this, but due to the COVID-19 restrictions, that's why there will be a minimum of people attending this function tonight. Just to bring it to your attention that the guest of honor tonight will be the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Economics, Planning and Development and Public Sector Reform, Dr. Winford Masanjala. He will surely grace this occasion. The Menegers and Patrick Njawala akumasana kwa amene amafotokoza kuti chilinganizo chimenechi ndichofunikira bwanji ndichotamandika motani chithandize bwanji kuchitukuko cha dziko lino ndeni mmene mvera kuti yayi zimenezi ndi zabwino kutukula maluso osiyanasiyana kupangitsanso ndithu kuti maluso amene wafikira ku mavuto ena amene monga dziko timakumana nawo ndipo tikhoza kukumana nawo. Ndiye anenanso pamene paja kuti mwambo mmene ndofunika kwambiri tikanakhala nthu pachigulu pa stadium kumene koma chifukwa cha nthenda ya COVID-19 akhala ngati ndithu angomanga kachilinganizo kanthu ocheperapo chabe. Ndeine ndikhale ndikukuponyani kwa Daughters Band amene ndithu akhale akusewera tinyimbo kenaka ndikhale ndikubweranso. I'll be right back. I'm handing over to you to the Daughters Band.
enkosini utalingwe lezora umausuna ukuyakuna ezulu enkosini utalingwe lezora umausuna ukuyakuna tandaza.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we wait for the guest of honor to arrive, may I humbly ask you to take your seats. There's a registration desk at the entrance to the gardens. If you may please make sure you have registered and collected a mask, and then you'll be guided to your seats. Thank you. Gentlemen, may I kindly ask you to take your seats? The guest of honor has arrived. May I kindly ask you to take your seats? ushers can assist to help everyone to get a seat as the guest of honor is coming in and will be taken on a tour of the pavilions that are positioned at the entrance to this garden. As the guest of honor is being shown some of the innovations that have been displayed, can I kindly ask those who are on the panel tonight to find me at the front here so I can guide you. For those of you who are still standing, may I kindly ask you to take your seats as the function is about to start. Ladies and gentlemen, let me kindly ask you to take your seats as our guest of honor is viewing the pavilions and will soon be joining us at the high table here.
A principal secretary mungana furukuzira kale ndithu ku unduna wa economic planning development and public sector reforms amene wandi Dr. Winford Masanjala amene ndithu aima m'malo mwa vice president a dziko lino Dr. Saulos Chilima ndi amene afika malo ano akuyendera ndithu matebulo omo malo osiyanasiyana amene ayikidwa kumene ndithu kuli zionetsero za zinthu zosiyanasiyana za maluso zimene ndithu zapangidwa ndi Malawi. Talena kale kuti lonchi imeneyi ndiyoonetsetsa kuti maluso amene akuchitika mdziko muno asafisidwe iyayi koma azituluka pambalambanda nkuona kuti kodi maluso amenewo angathandize bwanji kutukula ntchito zina mdziko muno komanso kupititsa patsogolo chitukuko cha dziko lino. Ndithu akuyendera mmenemo matebulomo kuona zinthu zosiyanasiyana zimene zapangidwa ndiponso tingonena kuti amene abwerawa ndi ochepa chabe poti sitingabweretse wina aliyense koma amene ayendera apiyesiwa ndi anthu ochepa chabe amene bungwe limene linasankha kuti adzaonetsere maluso awo mmene akuchitira ku function imeneyi. Koma maluso ndithu ndi ambirimbiri kwa basi mdziko muno, anthu amene ali innovative ndi ambiri kwa basi. Ndeti amikira bungwe limeneli opanga chilinganizo chimenechi kuti maluso amene wasangobisika iyayi koma azoonekera pambalanganda komanso kuti azithandizira kupititsa patsogolo ntchito zachitukuko maka kuno ku Malawi. Nyimbo zikumveka pansipo ndi bandi imene ndithu ili asungana okhaokha all female band imene ndithu imachedwa kuti the Daughters Band. Ndithu nyimbo ya maka bandi imene yakhala ndithu ikusewera nyimbo zawo kushambira ndithu cha program imeneyi komanso ndithu ikusewera ndithu nyimbo zabwino zimene ndithu alendo amene afika pano osiyanasiyana akusangana nazo. Tinenso kuti masomo anga ndinaona amene ndithu ali UN Resident Coordinator Mai Marie Jose Torres nawonso afika malo ano kuti achitira umboni zimene bungwe limeneli la UNDP likuchita kuno. The PS of the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development and Public Sector Reform, Dr. Winford Masanjala, is here. He's going down through the tables to see what has been displayed, innovations that are there that have been displayed in the tables, appreciating the talents, the skills that some of the people have in the country. just to highlight to you, to put it to you openly, that the UNDP has just selected a few people that have got their innovations, but the people that have got innovations that have produced things that are seen to be very important to the development of this nation are a lot in the country. As we shall also be seeing some documentaries that have been done in line with what I'm talking about. But tonight, there are just a few of them that are here this evening, and the PS has already gone there and is also moving towards the end to see and appreciate the innovations that are here tonight. I've also seen the UN resident coordinator, Miss Marie-Jose Torres, who is also here trying to appreciate whatsoever is happening tonight. Ndiye kuti tikuponyeninso kuti tione kuti kodi nyimbo zochokera kwa the Daughters Band zikhale ndithu zikuphwanyidwa motani. Maluso okhaokha mbawo ndi monganso amenewo gulu la asungwana amayimbidwe abwino kusewera nyimbo zabwino zatamandika zapamwamba. Alendo olemekeza kuno akuoneka kuti nyimbo zimenezi akusangala nazo kuti zonse zikhale bwino. Nende kuti ayi kwabwera ndithu anthu olemekezeka awo madzulo ano, amayi, abambo, anyamata asungwana amene abwera ndithu kumwambo umenewu kudzachitira umboni makapa launch imeneyi ya Acclab launch ya UNDP, United Nations Development Program, bungwe limene likuchita ntchito zosiyanasiyana kuno ku Malawi. Mwa imodzi mwa ntchito imeneyi imene akuyikhazikitsa panoyi kuti luso limene lili mdziko muno lisamangotayika yani, koma lizikuya ntchito zake zosiyanasiyana kulitsa patsogolo chitukuko cha dziko lino. Tateni titaona kwinaku tikumvanso tinyimbo tapasipasi tokoma kuchokera kwa the Daughters Band. Mwina mangatso mmene kanema yanu tili kuno ndi kulilongwe imene ndithu ili capital city makamaka ya Malawi, kunonso ndi kusite center pamtima pa Lilongwe imene ndithu kulizochitika zimenezi, imene bungwe ya UNDP likufuna kutukula maluso osiyanasiyana amene maluso amene ndithu akuchitika kuno kwathu ku Malawi. Tikuona mchithunzimo ndithu mlembi wamkulu wa unduna wa economics and public sector reforms akuyendera kumeneko kuona kuti kodi maluso akuyenda bwanji, pakuchitika chiyani, anthu ena ndithu abwera ndi nzeru zotani.
Ladies and gentlemen, if may I ask you to take your seats as the guest of honor is being taken to the pavilion where there are a number of innovations that he is being shown, as you can see on the screen. To my right, my far right, there are 3 innovations that are being displayed tonight, and you will have a chance to view and appreciate some of the innovations. Currently, the one being visited is an organization or company called MC Washington. It's a company that is producing gas and biogas for cooking and domestic energy. The other 2 are Kumbo bike, which is an electric bike, and Cubics, which is into producing or cutting timber and other materials, so 3D fabrication in short.
When you say digester,
yes.
What does that mean?
So you feed in cow dung or vegetable waste to produce biogas. Yes.
What gas are you producing? Methane? When you feed in?
Yeah.
What gas comes out?
It's methane, isn't it? Methane.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. There.
And it comes here. And then you can use it.
And then you can use it. So that kind of stove is also used for baking.
Yeah.
And it's your
kutokozeredwa ndithu ndiyena katundu orodi zimene zindichani zinachitika motani kuti zifika kuti mpaka zapangidwa ndithu chinthu choti anthu ndikumachiona ndikumakisirira, komanso kuti kodi chingagwire ntchito bwanji, anthu angachigwiritse ntchito motani, chingapindulirenso bwanji chitukuko cha dziko lathu lino la Malawi. Malawi kupitabe kuyenda ndithu Daughters Band kuimba nyimbo tantetemya madzulo lero UNDP Acclab launch in Lilongwe, the Four Seasons Garden. It's a beautiful place, the Four Seasons Garden. It's situated along the presidential drive, rather. The guest of honor getting seated. Zonse zithu zikazikuyamba kukosekedwa apa alinonso olemekezeka kukhala ndithu pansi kuzikwezera malo kuti mwambo umene ndithu uyambike nzakuza bwanji kuti umve tinene kuti guest of honor mene mati 5 minutes past 6 anafika mano amene wa Dr. Wilford Masanjala PS ku Luna wa Economics komanso Development and Public Sector Reforms anafika ndithu kukayendera malo osiyanasiyana kumene kumatebulo kumene kulizionetsero za luso la Malawi amene achita zodabwitsa zodabwitsa za mtundu wake wapatali atengedwanso ndithu monse kufotokozeredwa za maluso komanso kuti akananize bwanji kuchitukuko ya dziko lino alinonso olemekezeka akhala pansi ndipo mwambo umenewu ukhale ukuyamba posekedwa apa ndinakale kuti amene akhale akuyendetsa mwambo umenewu ndi Washington Chizumu amene ali Director of Ceremonies madzulo wanu ndi kuponyeni mmene ndithu nyimbo zapasipasi zikumveka ndinakale kuti Daughters Band limene ikuimba nyimbo za nthetemya madzulo alero ndikuponyeni kumeneko kumene kuli Daughters Band nichifukwa chabe nikukonda kulibe wina so zakuza bwanji kuti umve nizakuza bwanji kuti umve
applause to Doda's band, ladies and gentlemen. In a short while, there will be a little documentary screened to my far right on the big screen. And as that is showing over the next couple of minutes, there will be a sound check. So let me ask the technical team to just step forward and assist with the preparations for the panelists. If you may draw your attention to the screen, where in a short while there will be a short presentation. Thank you.
Innovation yotani.
Nkhani ya luso yayamba kumanga mthenje m'boma la Zomba. Izi zadziwika pamene bambo wina wa zaka 36 yemwe dzina lake ndi Pakeo Patrick Chikoja amapanga galimoto zoyenda pa mchenga komanso m'mapiri. Nkhani yabweretsa chikoka ndi chimwemwe kwa anthu ambiri m'bomali ndi dziko la Malawi. Anthuwa akumasonkhana m'malo omwe iye amagwirira ntchito komanso kugulitsira galimotozi, ndipo ena akumajambula zithunzi ndi kumatumiza pa intaneti kuti anthu ambiri aone. Abel Zulanga wa Mibawa television atamva za Pakeo Patrick Chikoja ndi luso lake anapita kuti akadzionere yekha.
Kupanga zimenezi munayamba liti? Izi zitu nayamba be ningana kuti kupanga kwenikweni kwa izi ndayamba mwina zaka zingapo zapitazo kupanga ngati kwa business, koma nayamba ndili kamwana ndithu ngati kanyamata kalapo akakakhapa ngati kukaona kali kakuzungula zunguliratu panopa. Chabwino mwina tisanafike kuyamba zinthuzi, background ya Pakeo ndi yotani? Anthu ambiri amayembekeza kuti kupanga zimenezi munthu ukaenda background ina yake, mwina yetu unapita ku school. Ku school kuende napita, koma ku school sinapange za mechanics, sinapange zimenezi. Ninapanga computer engineering nendo ICT. Easy is just passion. Normally lenganiza kuti ndizaku mtundu tinganira choncho, cause kwathu kubalinso wina wachibale amene za maluso ziso naye amataniso amapanga. Komano ineka passion kanango yamba ndithu ndakhala ku Botswana topanga nawo mipitsano timatiza ku desert race zina zake. Kaza ku desert zija zinthu zake zimakhala ngati zimene mukuziona apazi ndithu zoti zoyenda kumchenga kumabampo choncho. Ndikachoka ku ntchito ndikupanga za IT, ndikachoka ku ntchito weekend Friday Saturday Sunday Botswana komweko timapanga zimenezi ngati sports inali imene timapanga zimenezi. Ndinaloyendesa komano garaja kuja ndimakhala konko nthawi zonse ndinayamba kumaona be ndithu kuti zinthu zimene zili chonchi basi ndikuchuyekeza zaka zikakhale zili. That was 2012.
Koma kodi masomphenya a Pakeo ndi otani? Nanga ndikotheka Malawi ngati dziko kumagulitsa galimoto za mtundu umene ukunja? Nkhani yakulemba anthu ntchito atathandizidwa ingapite patsogolo?
Masomphenya atu amene alipo ndikuti monga Malawi tikhaleko pamapo, tikhaleko ndi product yathu yokuti anthu ena ake amaiko ena azitha kugulakonso zinthu zopangidwa ku Malawi kumakhala osangalala. Koma maloto analo kuti zinthu ngati zitsa mapange ziwiri kapena chimozi kugulisa upanga chimozi tofuata mapanga zingapo, mwina kuzipanga 10 zosiyanasiyana. Tipanga china chokwera anthu 4, tipanga china chotika mukaonezi nyama ku game reserve kuja kuyenda ngati zimene chichi 10 tigwirane manja. Malawiyu ndo atonse ngati athandiza ine sikuti athandiza ine Pakero ndekha yani, kuthandiza ine nditathandiza mtundu wa Malawi.
Iyi ndi ntchito yotamandika kwambiri ndipo ndiyofunika kuipatsa chithandizo. Monga iye akunenera, pogwiritsa ntchito lusoli akupereka mwayi wa bizinesi pogula zipangizo zopangira galimotoyi m'misika ya mderali. iyeyi wakwanitsanso kulemba ntchito achinyamata ochokera mderali ndipo itati ntchito iyi yakula atha kulemba achinyamata ochuluka ndi kupindula pa moyo wawo. Ndi lusoli atha kupanganso zinthu zosiyanasiyana monga transport yothandiza Malawi m'midzi ngati mmene zilili m'mayiko akunja.
Mr. Washington kuti kodi mambo mene opitire motani.
The bar next to the big screen over there, and everyone else, you may please make your way and get a cup of tea or coffee as we wait to start in a few moments. Thank you.
Yes, I am. Yeah. Okay, fine. Lemon from the panda. Okay, fine.
Oh.
As you get your teas and coffees, just to inform you that snacks will be distributed to each of the tables. The waiters will be coming around to deliver the snacks at every table.
zikupitirira ndithu zochitika kuno ndithu ku Four Seasons pathawi ino ndithu panali danga lakuti ayi nyaka malo ano ayendeyende ndikupereka kachamwa kotenthetsa thupi malinga nkuti pamene tili pano pakuzizira ndithu ndipo pafunika iye momwe ndithu totentha mukhayi ndithu kubwera coffee tea ndi zina zoterozo onetsa kuti ayi anthu akutenthedwa ndithu titaona kutsogoloko kuti kodi kuchitika zotani.
So Malik CTO UNDP, just wave at me, just make sure that we're together. Dr. Sela Gondwe, Luana Agribusiness Champion, I see your hand up. I would like to see if we have the Angle Dimensions champion, Henry Southend, you're there? Okay, thank you. And then I would like to see if we have Standard Bank representative, Graham Chipande. This is your hand, specialist, panelist is here. And indeed, Ministry of Industry, Director of Industry. I see again Panga Panga, who is also here, Clement Panga Panga. Let me see just your
Thank you.
Wherever, just take care. I'm your moderator. I'll be your moderator tonight. Chomora Mikeka, Director of Science, Technology and Innovation in the Ministry of Education. Make sure that the panelists are at home, the moderator is at home, and I see some viewing us live online, wheresoever you are, on Facebook, Mibawa TV. I think that we switched online. Just make sure that our live stream is synchronized. Okay. So, if we speak and talk about innovation, and I see my MC there, Washington Chimuzu, is also switched on already anytime. We will be sharing notes and also toggling in between ourselves to make sure that we're all good to go on the program. The innovation excites us, Science, technology, and innovation is the space that we'd like to be talking about, to accelerate it. And the panelists seated in front of us will twist the game. We engage with them some questions, 3 questions. Mostly out of the 5 W's, we focus on the 2 W's, what and the how. We want to engage on the how because we know normally that if we stop at what, nothing takes off. If we need to have a jet off, take off, and indeed we need to hear from them how. So these are our distinguished panelists from all the sectors: government, private sector, grassroots innovation, academia and research. They are here. And I think also beyond this, I should also mention that I had a call with the Registrar General, the Intellectual Property Office of Malawi this afternoon. They're sending their greetings, but also that we need to remember the National Intellectual Property Policy, which is in the strategy, but also that indeed the new dawn of the new business registration system is on. What we're talking about here, the acceleration, incubation of businesses, and spin-off of new companies could be registered, in no time and formalized. And this is within the interest of government, including His Excellency, the President, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, who has always, even including his instead of nation address, mentioned about the process of business registration systems online. And I think tied to this, we should also be talking of a new reform of companies' intellectual property rights, which will indeed harness and speed up the incubation processes and spin-offs of the innovations we are seeing, which have been toured, which we hear about in different places. Yeah, so MC, over to you.
Thank you. The Twitter handle for tonight is #Acclab. That's #ACCLAB. If you're on Twitter, please do get online. If you're on Facebook or other social media platforms, please be sure to use that hashtag and let the world know that we're here. Let me kindly ask everyone to take your seats as we begin our program. To everyone else, let me welcome you all to this function here at Four Seasons Garden tonight, 16 June 2021, as the UNDP is launching the Malawi Accelerator Lab. The theme for tonight is finding and growing locally sourced solutions to emerging challenges and opportunities. My name is Washington Chimuzu, and I'll be your host for tonight. And as we get started, just a bit of housekeeping and safety briefing. The restrooms are located at the far left corner of the garden. There are ushers who can be able to guide you to there. Also at the entrance to the garden, there's a registration booth. So I'll kindly ask you to register and also collect a mask as we're still in the COVID-19 pandemic. From safety point of view, no alarm or emergency drill is expected or planned, but in the unlikely event of an emergency, we shall be asked to leave the garden in one direction through the same entrance that we came and assemble at the car park. The entrance is at the far end of the garden, and when we go through the walkway, the car park is immediately beyond that. Maria Jose Torres, the UN Resident Coordinator. Mr. Shigeki Komatsubara, the UNDP Resident Representative. Ms. Claire Medina, UNDP Deputy Resident Representative. The UNDP co-partners, that's the government of the Federal Republic of Germany and the Qatar Fund for Development. Senior government officials here present. Members of the UN family in Malawi, members of the Accelerator Lab, ladies and gentlemen, viewers on Mibawa platforms on DSTV, YouTube, and Facebook. A warm welcome. May I kindly ask you just to turn to your neighbor and just say, "You're welcome tonight." It's a cold night and the perfect night for drinking coffee and tea, and there's plenty of tea and coffee to go around. The program tonight is a launch, and my duty tonight is to direct the ceremonies leading up to the official launch of the Accelerator Lab tonight, which will be done by our guest of honor, Professor Winford Masanjala. Also in the program tonight, there's a couple of speeches and also entertainment, which we have already sampled, the Daughters Band. Some poetry will also be featured. Documentaries shall also be featured, and at some point we'll ask you all to get online and take part in an online survey that I will share in the course of the program. Why are we here is the question, and the answer is directly in front of you. Tonight we are here to launch the Malawi Accelerator Lab. The theme is finding and growing locally sourced solutions to emerging challenges and opportunities. The year 2020 and 2021 have shown us a number of challenges, COVID-19 being one of them. But we all know that there are many other challenges that the country faces. So the theme is to focus on finding local solutions and growing those solutions. For those of you who've had the chance to sample the pavilion at the front, at the entrance to the gardens, there's 3 solutions or 3 innovations that have been displayed, and also in the documentary that was aired a few minutes ago. This lab is one of 91 in 115 countries worldwide. And so we're privileged in Malawi to have this lab, whose sole purpose will be to identify solutions to development problems. So can we give Malawi a round of applause as we just say we are part of the lab, the network of labs. The lab team will, in the course of the program, tell us a little bit more about what they have done and what the lab is planning to do. But before we get to that, let me kindly ask Ms. Maya Kachala to step forward and give us her poem, which is related to development. Maya Kachala, please.
The sun will rise from the east and set to the west on a beautiful African day. I see the reason why he said it was good. Amazing creation. As the mother and daughter fetch water from the stream, they sing beautiful songs of peace in some ululation. The men gather under shades of beautiful trees, and peaceful reasoning is all I see. Africa, oh Africa, my motherland.
Just stay with you.
She is a warrior. She has built empires and danced at the dawn of freedom. She has carried the weight of countries on her shoulders. She has seen fear disappear at the mention of her name. She has created bonds and broken barriers to new dawns. The righteous have fought for her. She has seen bloodshed at the hands of cold-hearted beings in replacement of her. See, she is the breath of my motherland. She is the brown soil that covers its stretch. She is the green that smiles to the sky. She is the songs and melodies birthed from freedom. She is the hope that comes from a newborn baby's first cry. She is a generation's worth of tears. Her price does not own a number as that of the beautiful sand along the riverbanks. Her name is unity. See, she has cradled lands of smiles and tears combined. They were warmth, but harbored pain at their core. They were taught courage by their ancestors, taught together is better, but somewhere along the road they softened and let their guard down. They let their pursuit of happiness overtake the need for freedom. They forgot that freedom births happiness. See, I met Unity the other day. She whispered to me her fears of how you had let go of all sanity in search of happiness. She told me of your willingness to forsake freedom for a second of captivity. Your happiness was in that captured moment, that brief view of the sun, that little dance in the rain before the storm set in. I met Unity the other day. She told me you were screaming in silence, slowly letting the darkness settle in, for there is no happiness without freedom, and no freedom without unity. You had danced for the sun, forgetting the moon still breathes. So let her in, embrace her, for she holds hands with freedom and fans the flames of happiness. Her name is Unity. Tieni limoti, tieni limoti, tieni limoti, elele. Tieni limoti, tieni limoti.
Another round of applause for Maya Kachala for that lovely poem. Our guest of honor, for a lot of Malawians, growing up has been something like this, sitting under the open skies at night and sharing stories or hearing stories from our elders about how things were in the good old days and other times and eras. And through that medium of communication, passing on critical information, passing on critical knowledge from previous generations. And so the essence of tonight is exactly this. To put it in vernacular, lero tikukazikitsa bungwe kapena malo owumba maluso lab. It's a lengthy word, but I think it captures the essence of what the lab will be doing. A place where ideas or where solutions are identified and put forward. The lab is a team of individuals that provides national partners with a set of new services to better tackle complex sustainable development problems. I think from the display here you can see the sustainable development goals that have been ably captured on the boxes that are labeled in front here. Let me at this point in time call upon the members of the lab, Soyapi Mumba, Wasili Mfungwe, and Ms. Hazel Namadingo Shawa, to come to the front and tell us more about the lab. And when they have told us about the lab, I'll ask Soyapi Mumba to go further into the next segment of our program. Thank you. Yeah, just to be clear.
Miss Maya Kachala yokuza naso kulingana ndithu
we just want to first of all introduce ourselves as a lab team, but also to an understanding of the process that we take, for us to understand to understand problems, test solutions, and scale them up. So if you could, I can take your attention to that screen. So that's really what our core service offering is. So of course we go through that and also speak to what our roles do. So my name is Wasili Mfungwe. I am the head of exploration. So in doing exploration, I really come at the sense stage. What we try to do there is to understand tomorrow's problem today. So we use collective intelligence, which is us using data and technology and working with people to have a very in-depth understanding of the problems that people are facing. One key thing that we do is to ask people, what's keeping you at work at night? What's the biggest problem that you're facing as a citizen? So that's the key thing that we do in the lab. For example, we learned using social media then. When COVID was just coming, that's when we understood that this is actually a global problem. To do that, we quickly sensed to say, what solutions can we have? And we realized It's not like we can import a solution elsewhere because of the problems that we had in terms of supply chains international wide. So we now had to come in country to see solutions that we can have and test. So the key thing is, what we want to do is not to come here and say we understand development, we know what the people need. What we do is to go to the people and understand the problem from their point of view. Then we get that to see what is the solution and then to test it. Our ultimate clients, if I use that word, is the people in the communities. And I know there are people, some here and some that are watching us online. I would like to say the very same thing in vernacular. So, dzina langa ndine Wasili Mfungwe, ndimagwira ngati head of exploration. Ntchito yanga ndikusinkhasinkha kuti timvesese mavuto amene Amalawi ali nawo okhuza ndi chitukuko. Ndeti timagwirisira ntchito makina ya intaneti, timagwirisira ntchito makina amafoni amanja kuti timvesese kuti chimene chikuwavuta Amalawi ndi chani. Cholinga chathu ndoti tikamvesesa vutolo ndi Amalawi anzathuwa tiyesese kufunafuna ma solutions amene angathandize kuti chitukuko chibwere. Timafunisisa kuti tiphunzire nsanga chimene chikuchitika poyesayesa, tikatero tigwire ndi anthu ena kuti zinthu zipite pasogolo. Stage ina yachiwiri adayankhule ndi Nzangai on what needs to be done.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our launch. So my name is Hazel Namadingo Shawa, and my role in the lab is heading the solutions mapping portfolio. So under solutions mapping, I come in, I overlap with Wasili at the sensing stage. So at sensing, we are looking at identifying solutions for a particular challenge. So once we zero in on a challenge, like Wasiri had said, that looking at COVID, it was a challenge for not only Malawi, but a global challenge as well. So I go into trying to see what are the solutions that are already existing at national level. So after sensing that, I go into exploration, where now it's getting into a deep dive to understand the challenge, as well as trying to link up with the citizens or communities to see who already has solutions for that specific challenge. So for instance, I'll use the example that Wasili indicated, the COVID-19 challenge. We zeroed into the solutions that Malawians already had at that time when COVID had just set in. So for example, we had noticed a number of citizens showcasing different solutions on media platforms, but also graduates or university students in university institutions. They had a couple of solutions for COVID-19. So we went straight into mobilizing these students at institutional level, as well as trying to work with Ministry of Health and also bringing in regulatory authorities, because when we talk of innovations, we are also speaking about IP issues. We are also speaking about quality assurance issues. All these issues, they are things that we look very carefully at the lab. We do not just say, okay, this innovation speaks to address this specific challenge, but we think around ways of how we can refine an innovation. How can we make it better? How can we make it safe for the use of other people when we are speaking of replication or scaling up? So in summary, the role of solutions mapping uses two approaches. The first one is what we call co-creation, where you go to the people who are facing the challenge and say, look, this is the challenge that you have, but I know, or we know, that you already have solutions for this particular challenge. What are these solutions? So you try to bring out those solutions as a collective. And then the other approach is the solutions mapping approach, where now as a lab we venture into either digital solutions mapping. We look into different digital platforms to see who is already showcasing solutions for a particular challenge. Or we go into now what we call either innovation walks in communities. So we go randomly, it can be a community, an urban community, Area 25 for example, or we can go as far as rural communities and then just do solution safaris or innovation walks to appreciate the innovations that are already existing in those communities. Some of the innovations that we are showcasing at the back as an example of solutions mapping. We reached out to these young people, we found these solutions, we thought they are great solutions to respond to different development challenges. As you can see, there's an example there of mobility, there's also an example of energy, using different waste materials. The lady there at the back is making biogas. So as a lab, we look into this to see, okay, this can address the issue of waste management, but then how can we replicate this? How can we scale it up? So that's where we bring a diverse set of partners, be it private sector, be it government, be it CSOs. I will just speak briefly in Chichewa for the sake of Anankoma out there who has got a privilege of watching TV tonight but cannot understand what I'm saying. Dzina langa ndine Heza Onamadingoshawa, ndipo ntchito yanga kwambiri ku UNDP Accelerator Lab. Ndiogwira ntchito ndi inu ma community mene mulimo, midzi mene mulimo, kuti tithe kupeza njira zopititsira chitukuko chapatsogolo. Njira zina zimene timapanga kuja kuchipatala mapita kukapimisa magazi anu iyayi. Labu imene ilibe zida zoyezera magazi kapena zoyezera malungo ayi. Labu imene ndiyo yoyang'ana mavuto amene anthu ali nawo nkupeza njira zothanirana ndi mavuto amenewa ikakhala nkhani ya chitukuko. Nde kwambiri ine mwa ntchito yanga ndimakhala mu madera, midzi, kugwira ntchito ndi achinyamata, kugwira ntchito ndi mafumu, kuonetsetsa kunena kuti kodi Amalawi muli ndi njira zanji zimene mukupanga midzi mwanumo ngati njira imodzi yopititsira chitukuko patsogolo, posadikira boma kapena posadikira madona. Timakhala kale kunena kuti tili ndi nzeru. Ndipereke chitsanzo, kunkhatabe uko kuli midzi ina imene anthu anapeza nzeru zopanga magetsi chifukwa chokuti iwo alibe magetsi a Eskom, amapanga magetsi paokha midzi mwawo ndimowala, amatha kugwisa ntchito zigayo, kugwirisa ntchito zinthu zina, analumikiza magetsi ku skulu, ana amatha kupita ku skulu kukawerenga standard 8 jandu kumakhoza. Zimenezi ndi zitsanzo zina zimene ifeyo a UNDP Accelerator Lab tikuyang'anitsitsa ndi chidwi kunena kuti nzotheka kuti mavuto athu tikathe kuwagonjetsa tokha pano osadikira anthu ena akunja kunena kuti azatithandize. So Anankoma ndikufuna mundimvesese kunena kuti UNDP Accelerator Lab si ya boma lokha, ndi ya inunso monga Malawi. Zikomo kwambiri. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Wasili. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Soyapi Mumba, Head of Experimentation for the UNDP Accelerator Lab. For my role, for each challenge that we are working on, I design a portfolio of experiments to test multiple solutions that are addressing the same challenge but at different points. We then collaborate with various institutions like universities and even individuals to test these solutions. And we test them iteratively, we continue testing them until the results show that the solutions can really work when they are scaled up. In Chichewa, mwachidule, ine Soyapi Mumba, amene mbali yanga, pavuto lililonse limene tikulipezera njira zoti tithane nalo. Ndimaunjika njira zingapo zimene anzanga wazipeza, zimene zikuthana ndi vutolo pa madera osiyanasiyana. Ndikugwira limodzi ndi anthu osiyanasiyana kapena mabungwe osiyanasiyana kuti pamodzi tiyese njira zimenezi kuti tidziwisedi kodi zingathedi kutithandiza kuti tesera mavuto amene tikumana nawowa ndiye mbali yanga pa Accelerator Lab. Zikomo kwambiri. Mwina ndingonjezera pa mwachitsanzo kupasani chitsanzo pa nkhani ya COVID. COVID yoti inavutika kwambiri komano titayiona sinathe kungotenga njira imodzi imene kuthana ndi COVID mbali imodzi yokha. Tinayang'ana prevention. Kodi tingathe njira zimene zikuthandiza kuti thandiza ife kuti tisatenge corona. Ndiye kuli ma mask, kuli ma face shield. These are preventive solutions. Then tinaona so njira zimene zikutithandiza kuti tisafalitse kwambiri kachirombo ka corona. Pali ma sanitizer, pali zipangizo zimene timatha kugwiritsa ntchito osakhuza ni manja, kungogwiritsa ntchito mwina miyendo. These touchless hand washing stations and sanitizers. These are solutions that reduce the spreading of the coronavirus. And then we also looked at testing. Kodi pa zothira zimene anzathu akulabu amagwiritsa ntchito akamayeza kuti adziwe kuti kodi uyu ndi corona kapena ayi. Zinawonso zimavuta kuti tizipeze nthawi imene ndege sizimatha kubwera kuno ku Malawi. Ndiye tinathandizanso anzathu ma university kuti athe kukhala ndi zothira zimenezi, testing reagents to help with testing for the coronavirus. Thank you.
When it's all said and done, the final thing that we do is to scale up the solution. When we learn what's working, we want to look at other partners that we can work with. So we work with government. I think we have government partners here. We work with private sector players. We have a few startups that we're working with, so that we want to scale up the solution that we have learned that it's working. We're not only looking for maybe further funding, but also looking for further expertise to actually increase or amplify the solution that we have found and tested, and we know that it's working. Thank you so much.
We want to show you how we work when we talked about sensing, sense making. How do we work together with diverse groups, diverse stakeholders to understand challenges, and later on how do we work together to find solutions. So pano tikusonyezeni meti magwirira ntchito mafuna kuti tigwire ntchito limodzi kuti tidziwe kuti mavuto amene akutisautsa ndi ati, ndiponso kupeza kuti tingathe kupeza njira ziti zothetsera mavuto amenewo. Ndiye pali kugwiritsa ntchito mafoni anu, ndimafuna mupite ku menti.com, monga tikuonera pa screen ipo. We want to find out what is the most important challenge faced by the youth in Malawi. Kodi ndi vuto liti lokhuza achinyamata lomwe limakusowetsa mtendere kwambiri. So mupite ku menti.com, www.menti.com, and use the code 62228968. 62228968. Mukapita ku menti.com, pamafoni panupo apa internet, mungopita ku browser ndi kulemba www.menti.com, amene muli nafe pano 4 seasons, amene mukutionera pa Facebook kapena pa Mibawa TV, nanonso mukhoza kupita ku www.menti.com. Mukapita pamenepo ikufunsa nuli mulembe code mulembe 6 kenaka 8968. Mukapita pamenepo mutiuze vuto lalikulu limene kukhuza achinyamata ku Malawi kuno. Tell us which problems, what's the important challenge faced by the youth in Malawi. Then later on we'll see the results, and then we'll try to find solutions. Pakata kanthawi pang'ono tizabweranso kuona kuti mwalemba mavuto ati, ndi vuto liti limene labwera pamwamba kuti tithane nalo. Zikomo kwambiri.
Good job of explaining what the lab does and how the lab is going to be working. It's going to be working in a very collaborative manner, and all of us are invited to take part in identifying solutions for to emerging challenges and opportunities. In a short while, we will have a couple of documentaries screened again to our far right, or to my far right. These are innovation documentaries, a series of documentaries that have been produced by Mibawa over the course of the past few months. And they basically capture innovations that they have come across in different parts of the country.
akulu ndithu amene wa Undp maka ndithu amene akutsogolera ntchito imene ndithu ya Accelerator Lab kuti kodi ntchito imene ikuyenda motani, zinthu zake zimakhala motani, anthu amaluso amenewa amakapeza kuti, komanso ndi cholinga cha project imene ndi chani. Ndafotokoza kuti cholinga chawo nchokuti anthu aluso amenewa akawapeza madera osiyanasiyana amapangitsa kuti luso limenelo lipite patsogolo. Komanso anena kuti pakhale ndithu chilinganizo chakuti mutha kupereka maganizo anu osiyana pa internet. Mukhoza kupita ku www.ment.com ikakufunsani kuti muike code number yake ndi 6228968. mukapezapo funso amenepo maka mchichewa funso likunena kuti kodi mavuto amene achinyamata mdziko muno akumana nawo.
Ine zina langa ndine Isaac Gomani, ndimagwira ntchito ndi West Advisors. West Advisors ndi bungwe makamaka limene limagwira ntchito poona za ukhondo m'mizinda yosiyanasiyana mu dziko lino, ndipo mzinda umodzi umene tikugwira nawo ntchito ndi Blantyre komanso mzinda wa Lilongwe. Sono ife makamaka ntchito yathu monga tayankhulira kuti ndi yosamalira zinyalala. Mungathe kuona kuti pasogolo pangapa pali mabini awiri, ina ndi ya red, ina ndi ya green. Mene mumakhala zinyalala zimene sizingathe kuola makamaka mu bini ya red, koma bini ya green yo timayika zinyalala zimene zingathe kuola. Ndiye ntchito iyi ikuchitika m'misika yosiyanasiyana mu mzinda uno wa Blantyre. Msika umodzi umene ukuchitikaso ntchito imeneyi ndi msika wa Chigumula. Ndiye ndikufuna ndikakuoneseni imene ntchito yonseyi ikuyendera ku msika umene wa Chigumula. Tiye. Demele tinanenera muja apa tafika umodzi mwa msika umene tikugwira ntchito, ndipo msika uwu ndi wa Chigumula. So pasogolo pangapa mukuona kuti pali mabini awiri, ya green ija imene timayika zinthu zimene zimatha kuola, ndipo iyi yopentedwa red imene timayika zinthu zimene siziola. So pali azimayi amene amagwira ntchito kuno ndikumasankha zinyalala zimenezi, ndipo zimati zikazaza umu timazitenga ndikupita nawo ku maskip bin amene ali kumusiwo. Ndikufuna ndikuoneseniso maskip bin amenewo. Ndiye mmene nayankhulira muja kuti zinyalala zathu zikazaza ku mabini aja ang'ono amazinyamula azimayi aja ndikubweretsa mabini akuluakulu awa. Pamene bini iyi tikuona kuti mwazaza ndi zinyalala zimene zingathe kuola. Imene ili kumapeto ukoyo kumanzere kwangako tikuona kuti muli zinyalala zimene sizingathe kuola ngati maplastiki, mabotolo komanso zisulo. Sono kwambiri ife timagwirisa ntchito izi zinyalala zimene zingathe kuola popangira manyowa. Ndiye kuti mmene zazaza chonchi akusite council abwera ndi galimoto yawo imene manyamula chibini ichi, kapenanso aja anzathu a private. Tili ndi anthu enanso amene timagwira nawo ntchito a private amene amabweranso ndikutitengera zimenezi ndikutibweresera kumalo kumene tikugwira ntchito ndikupanga manyowa, pomwe izo zipite kuntaya akataye. Ndiye ndifuna ndikakuoneseni mmene timapangira manyowa kugwirisa ntchito zinyalala zimene zatayidwa mu msika. Sono zinyalala zathu zija tikazibweresa kuchoka kujako ndiye kuti timazibweresa pamalo apapa. choyambirira ndiye kuti timaonesesa kuti tikhale ndi maziso pafupi chifukwa kuti process yopanga manyowa imeneyi imafunika madzi, popanda madzi singatheke. Ndiye pali zinthu zingapo zimene timayeneka tikhale nazo popanga manyowa amenewa. Timayeneka tikhale ndi zinthu zimene zili zobiriwira, zinthu zimene zili zouma, tizinthu ta mitengo ngati imene kakuonekera aka, komanso pamayeneka tikhale ndi timanyowa pang'ono. Timanyowa timene tingati kukhala ta ng'ombe, kaya ta mbuzi, kaya ta nkhuku, tochepa kwambiri kuti tiyambe kupanga process yathu. Ngati china chilichonse tachita bwino, apa pamatentha kwambiri. Ndiye timakhala ndi ichi chimene amachitchula kuti thermometer pa Chingerezi, kapena kuti choyezera mmene kutentha kukutani kukuonekera. Ndiye ngati tamanga compost yathu lero, mawa tikabwera timabweresa chimenechi ndikuona kuti pakutentha motani. Ndiye chimatiuza kuti mmene chikutentheramu chikuyeneka chitembenuke, chifukwa izi zimatembenuka kasanu nkawiri kuti process ikafike kumapeto. Sono mwachisanzo mukuona apa kuti pakutentha apa pafupifupi 70 degrees zimene zikutisonyeza kunena kuti manyowa athuwa akuchitika bwino mwapamwamba. Manyowa awa ntchito yake ndiyoti alimi amabwera kuno kuzagula ndi kumakathira ku minda yawo, komanso ngakhale alimi amene ati akuzatenga kuno ndi kumathira tii kuchita substitute kapena kuti kugwiritsa ntchito m'malo mwa fetereza uja mmakagula ku sitolo amene timaononga naye ndrama zathu za mziko muno, chifukwa fetereza amene uja wambiri akuchokera kunja. Koma titati tapanga izi amalawi tonse ziko lonse, ndiye kuti choyambirira anthu ambiri apeza ntchito, chifukwa mukaona pano mukuonanso anthu amene akugwira ntchito kupanga izi. Ndiye kuti 1 tapanga ntchito ija, 2 tipulumutsa ndrama zakunja zimene timakagulira fetereza odula uja ndikumbweretsa muziko muno. Ndiye kuti wina aliyense angathe kupanga fetereza pa khomo pake. Sono mungathe kuona kuti titati tikumagwiritsa ntchito zinyalala zimenezi za mizinda yathu kumachosa nkumapangira manyowa, ndiye kuti tikupangisa mizinda yathu ija kukhala ya ukhondo.
zinkoneka ngati masewero lero zabala zipatso. Mizi iyi ya Yobe Nkosi, Musa Nkosi ndi Timoti Nkosi tsopano ili ndi magesi ngwee nyumba zawo omwe akugwiritsa ntchito munjira zosiyanasiyana ngati kuti ali mtauni. Tsopano funso nkumati kodi zimenezi zachitika bwanji? Zonsezi ndi mnyamata uyu Kolemu Nkosi, yemwe maluso lake anagwira ntchito yodabwitsa kubweretsa magetsiwa midzi itatu imeneyi. Mchaka cha 2006 atangomaliza form 4 yake ku Mzimba Secondary School anabwerera ku mudzi kwawo komwe pa nthawiyo kunalibe magesi. Izi zinamuvuta Koledi yemwe anali kuti anazolowera magesi ku sukulu. Izi zinampangitsa kuti achitepo kanthu basi.
Ndayenda misinje yonseyi kuchokera ku mtundoko anthu amaona ngati ndi munthu wopeka, chifukwa ntchito imene ndimagwira ndi ana ang'ono oti zero zasowa ngati ana opanda zero.
Danazio Moyo, a 50-year-old man whose innovative mind has worked to the benefit of many people around his locality at Nsongwe, Wadosoka village, situated in the peri-urban area of Mzuzu city. He says, noting that his wife was struggling to get water, enough to cater for all domestic chores, such as watering their small vegetable and banana plantation, watering their grass lawn, washing clothes and plates, as well as flush toilet. He sat down and engaged himself in a serious thinking process to come up with a tangible solution. The result was this: a water pump that is capable of pumping water up the 37-meter delivery head to the storage tank above, covering a distance of over 150 meters.
First, I sourced some money, then went to the market, started buying materials, pipes, compressors, and the like. Then I started making this pump. After I finished, I went down there to clear the place where I wanted to plant my pump. I cleared this place, then I planted this pump. I tested it. At first it failed. I improved the pump, then later I succeeded. It managed to pump water up to my house here, which is about 37 meters high.
Moyo is a proud man to see his innovation saving a wider community.
I'm not the only one using this water. I've supplied this water to my neighbors, about 5 of them. Others even come to draw water from the tap, and have the potential to supply the whole village with this water if well supported.
The innovation is quite simple, as it requires simple implements sourced from simple markets and garages. Water is drawn from this Wadosoka River and flows through gravitational force to form this small pool here. This acts as an intake where water flows through this galvanized pipe to the gate valve, where the process of pumping water begins.
kuona komanso ndithu kumva ma documentaries amene ndithu napanga mwayi komanso danga kuti tikaone kwayendera kuti kodi anthu amenewa maluso awo ndi otani. Tinaona ndithu kuchokera ku Blantyre bambo wina kumeneko ndithu amene akumanga manyowa ndithu othandizira ulimi kuchokera ndithu kuzinyalala zimene zimatha kuola. Komanso tinaona ndithu mkulu wina wa kumzimba amene ndithu anapanga magetsi pana kuthandiza ndithu dera la kwawo ndithu ndi magetsi kudzera ndithu muzinthu zosiyanasiyana zimene anagwiritsa ntchito zotchipirako mitengo zimene adaganiza ndi nzeru zake kuti zikhoza kupanga magetsi, ndipo magetsi oda akupangidwa kuthandiza ndithu mudzi wa kwawo ngakhalenso skulu imene ili kumeneko. Komanso pamaizi apo na bambo wina ochokera kumzimba amene tunapanga danga kuti apope madzi kuchokera kutali kufika ku khomo lake malinga kuti kumeneko madzi sauthandiza iye khayo ayi koma kuthandiza ngakhale dera limene iye akukhala. Ndi zimene ndithu labwerera kuno kuti kodi malusowa sitingamatu kule kuti ngati athandiza khomo limodzi kufikira mudzi wonse, ngalafikira mudzi wonse kufikira dziko lonse, zimenezo ndi zotheka. Ifake ndithu a UNDP apanga ndithu chilinganizo chimene choti maluso amene ali mdziko muno atukulidwe, aonedwe, afike patali kuti athandize chitukuko cha dziko lino ndithu kuti miyoyo ya anthu izisintha kudzera maluso amenewa. Daughters Band ndimene ndithu ikusewera nyimbo pasipasipo, tatiye nditamvera nyimbo imeneyi.
Kalajete upulike Malawi, tilekeni tisambile, tilekeni tilongoze, isewa moza tose takubadolana Malawi. Malawi, kalajete upulike Malawi, kalajete upulike Malawi, tilekeni tisambile, tilekeni tilongoze, isewa moza tose takubadolana Malawi. maza kawiro kakutengwesa mwana wachali wachoko samari ya kula bukwe otanja pategela mbera poyamba wate fantazi Malawi wate fantazi Malawi kanajete upulike Malawi kanajete upulike Malawi tilekeni tisambile tilekeni tilogoze nisema moza dose takubadulana Malawi Malawi kanajete upulike Malawi kanajete upulike Malawi tilekeni tisambile tilekeni tilogoze nisema moza dose takubadulana Malawi
with skilled youth. The country Nipateni kutegera kwakuti ma skills amene apita kusogolo. Thandizeni kuti ma skill amene wawa apite patsogolo.
Thank you.
A round of applause to Doda's band. Let me, at this point in time, as they give us, to just call the panelists for the panel discussion, which we will have shortly. One more song from Doda's band. One more song from Doda's band. As I call upon the panelists to take their positions, we will have a short panel discussion on innovations, but also how do we find and grow locally sourced solutions to emerging challenges and opportunities. May I kindly call upon the following panelists. Tariq Malik, the UNDP Chief Technical Officer. Dr. Sarah Gondwe from Luana. Mr. Graham Chipande from Standard Bank. Mr. Henry Sauzande of Angle Dimension. And lastly, Mr. Clement Pangapanga, Director of Industry in the Ministry of Industry.
Nditudi ndimene tamvera kanyimbo kabwino kuchoka kwa Doda's Band akhaisa ku kusewera kanyimbo kena pamenepa kosangalatsanso ino amene muli kunyumba komanso atusa amene ali kuno ku Four Seasons mu mzinda wa Lilongwe. Apa ndithu pali kukonzekera kuti ndithu panel discussion iyambike ndithu ma panelists athu ndithu akakhala pansi ndithu akuti akonzekera zonse ziyende motani. Pa discussion imene ndithu pali Tariq Malik kuchokera ku UNDP amene ndi Chief Technical Officer komanso Associate Professor Chomola Mikeka Director DSTI Moest komanso Dr. Sarah Gondwe kuchokera ku Luana komanso Mr. Graham Chipande kuchokera ku Standard Bank, Mr. Henry Sauzande kuchokera ku Angle Dimension komanso Mr. Clement Pangapanga, a Director of Industry ku Ministry of Industry. Amene ndithu akhale akukambirana mchingerezi akuti panel discussion on the innovation ecosystem drawing from the diverse set of experts from the government, academia, grassroots innovation, private sector and development community. Ndekati nyimbo imene yatotas band tikati kumva ndithu kuti panel discussion imene iyende motani.
The stars fell in love with the world. The moon decided to shine so brighter and remove the fear of the night. Of the night, Timaimba Kuti. Where's the wallet? Say, where let it be? 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 Bachikaya tukuti, dola lundi unde, bakulumba juta, buto wese mnalu. Bachikaya tukuti, dola lundi unde, bakulumba juta, buto wese mnalu. Mama Africa, yeah, 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 yeah. Thank you.
That poll, that question. So we'll show the results. Ask my colleague to beam up the results on the screen. Right, so you can see the answers in the word cloud below the question. Mauti kuona musali mitundu yosiyana-siyanawo ndi mayankho amene inu mwayankha pafunso tinafunsa kuti kodi ndi vuto liti lokhudza achinyamata lomwe limakusowetsani mtendere kwambiri. So we can see from the results unemployment, kusowa kwa ntchito, ndiye vuto likutisowetsa kwambiri mtendere. Unemployment is clearly the leading challenge from the respondents. So you can see down there is 42 people who participated in this question, in this sense making. And now we'll go to the next stage to say, okay, we've seen this unemployment is currently the biggest challenge we need to be working on for our youth. Now let's get to the next screen where we now ask the question, what's the solution for unemployment? So pano tagwira limodzi ntchito, sitinangokhala mu office mwathu kuganiza kuti tigwire ntchito pa vuto liti, mwatiuza kuti kusowa kwa ntchito ndi vuto limene likutisowetsa mtendere. Ndiso pano tikupemphani kuti mupitenso ku menti.com, koma tsopano mugwisa ntchito code ya 53791560. Mupite ku www.menti.com konkuja ndi mukalimba code ya 53791560. Tsopano mutiuze njira, kodi ni njira ziti zomwe zili zabwino kwambiri kuti tithane ndi vuto la kusowa kwa ntchito. Now we need to work together to find a solution for unemployment. Now go back to menti.com on your phones. Go to menti.com and use the code 53791560. This time tell us what are the best solutions for youth unemployment. You can enter as many as possible and then we'll come back again later to see the results. Thank you very much.
Thank you, so happy for that. In a short while, I'll call upon our moderator for the panel discussion. Associate Professor Chomora Mikeka. He's the
nkutegera kwamafoni a intaneti zamasiku ano zamakono tikhoza ntchito pangana participate pazokambirana zimene zikuchitika pamenepo pa mente.com ndipo funso loyamba nafunsa kuti kodi vuto lalikulu limene akumana nalo achinyamata pakana ndi pano ndi vuto lanji ndi akuti anthu 42 anapangana participate pa anthu amenewo ndithu ambiri anena kuti akusowa kwa ntchito, unemployment mu Chingerezi. Nafunsanso kodi tingathane nalo bwanji vuto limeneli. Inunso ngati mwango ngatsomeneka ndi mawano mukhoza nanunso ndithu kulowa pa internet ndikupangana participate pa discussion imene iyi ku mente.com koma kodi yake no yasintha ifo funso nalonso la sintha ndi mukhoza kupanga code ya 5379150 5379150 mukayankhe nawo funso lachiwiri kodi kusowa kwa ntchito umeneku tingathane nako motani mdziko muno. Ndikuponyeni komene kwa amene akuyendetsa ndithu panel discussion yathu madzulo ano.
Who are here, and I am holding in my hand a book which I consider to be the script that we have to dramatize until 2063, the Malawi Vision 2063. And if they that are before me, 5 panelists, speak not according to this word, I will dismiss them tonight. And I want to make sure that science, technology, and innovation is seen to be the driver, the enabler, the accelerator for the vision that we all look forward to. And I will live to make sure to see the effects of these are seen and experienced in this nation. I have distinguished panelists in front of me, and I would like to introduce them briefly. First one to be introduced tonight is Tariq Malik. Raise up your hand, Tariq Malik, where you are. He is the UNDP CTO, Chief Technical Officer, who has massive experience in National Database and Regulatory Authority, NADRA, World ID, Identification for Development, Digital ID, and he has assisted governments to improve service delivery using innovation technologies, so innovative solutions. He is considered to be the most influential person in digital government. Lo and behold, we have before us Tariq Malik. Let's clap hands for him. Secondly, we have one of the discussants as well here, Dr. Sela Gondwe from Lilongwe University of Natural Sciences, Agriculture and Natural Resources, Luana. She is a senior lecturer there in agribusiness. She is a specialist in business economics. She is a fellow with Michigan State University's Innovation Scholar Program. And she is co-assisting Makerere University and College of Agricultural Sciences and Malawi University of Science and Technology in implementing the Scholar Program. She is considered to be the only champion in Malawi regarding agribusiness aspects, and she is accelerating the agribusiness hub at Luana and in Malawi. She is here with us. Let's clap hands for her. That's Sarah Gondwe. And in her pursuits, normally she links it all to the script Malawi 2063, National Planning Commission promotions. I would like to bring the third panelist, who is Graham Chipande, Standard Bank. Raise up your hand, Graham Chipande. Graham Chipande is a strategic financial planner. He
has wide experience and expertise in international sales and marketing in Africa, US, Middle East, South Asia, and several other subcontinents. He is head of business and commerce and commercial clients, and he is here to beacon the opportunities that innovators have to do business from his own department. Let's give a big hand to Graham Chipande, Standard Bank. I would like also to highlight one of the panelists discussing tonight, Henry Sauzande. And he complained that sometimes some people write his name or convert it to English and write it like thousand. He is not thousand, he is Sauzande. Henry Sauzande. He is the Chief Technical Officer, CTO, but also co-founder for an award-winning tech company in Malawi called Angle Dimension. Most often the time I've met him several fora where Angle Dimension has won these opportunities, and he is one such. He focuses, or the company focuses, on simplifying payment systems. And this leads to financial inclusion. Last week I was with Reserve Bank and we were talking about financial inclusion, particularly digital financial inclusion, and he and Angle Dimension are keen, critical in there. He sits on the board for grants for Malawi Digital Project, World Bank funded, but also he sits on National Planning Commission Youth Core Group advising the NPC on Malawi 2063 innovation strategies in there. Let's give a big hand for Henry Sauzande. For the youth who are here, let's copy him. He is one of them who is keenly and expertly using artificial intelligence, AI, deep learning, DL, machine learning, ML, and all the issues related to the fourth industrial revolution to spin and take off some few tech companies. So I think that's a learning point. Lastly but not least, I would like to bring to your attention from Malawi government, Clement Pangapanga, Director of Industry from the Ministry of Industry. Please raise up your hand. He has several years of public sector experience, industrial policy development, public sector development support, quality assurance, standardization, and he is keenly looking forward to the second pillar of Malawi 2063, which is industrialization, and linking it also to urbanization from the Malawi 2063, and he says he's committed to drive that agenda. That's Clement Pangapanga. Now, panelists, I am your moderator, Chomora Mikeka, Director of Science, Technology and Innovation in the Ministry of Education. I have few questions based on the limitation of time that we have, and I will ask a specific question to a discussant and will not allow you to discuss beyond 2 minutes. The question I have for the first discussant, this is Graham Chipande, Standard Bank, is what role or contribution has innovation to do with national development? Please take it up.
Thank you, Jamora. Good evening, everybody. That's a great question, and I think innovation has had a pivotal role in encouraging national development. First of all, in encouraging a free and open society. And I think it's within a free and open society that people can express their aspirations, their dreams, and their frustrations. The second area now is allowing for the rule of law, but also the open exchange of ideas and commerce. So within a free and open society, where we're able to secure interact with each other, but also feel free and safe to trade and share value. I think those are the things that really innovation has allowed.
answering the question, what? We may come back to him, time allowing. Thank you very much, Graham, for that. Let's give him a big hand. Second question is, and I, for one, I like this. I don't like the questions which ask what, because that's where you stop. You can't go far. I like how. The second question is, how can innovation be harnessed or sustained to make sure that we have a meaningful contribution to national development using innovation? How can we harness it? And how can we sustain it? We have seen innovations today and several others coming days and the years to come. How can we harness those ones? From informal sector, formal sector, grassroots, or top tier. How can we do this? I would like to invite Dr. Sela Gondwe, champion for Agribusiness Hub, Malawi. Over to you.
Thank you. Well, 2 minutes. Okay, I have 3 or 4 things to add to that. How can we harness that? The first point is working together. I think when you look at an innovation ecosystem, you have a number of partners which have got different roles that they play. And within that, if we can strengthen the partnerships among all these players, then everyone will be able to do what they are best able to do. And in the end, it will help with harnessing the innovations. And in connection to that coordination bit, there's the issue of communication. If you're to coordinate better, you need to communicate better as well. How can we support an innovation that has come from somebody from, say, Chena? How can we be able to do that? So communication is another key thing. The other thing is by investing in research and development. Everything else, the new ways of doing things that we're doing now, there is a component of research. There's a component of technical expertise that has been brought into that. So I would say research and development is key. Investment in the physical facilities to be able to support the research and development itself. Because as you can see, all those people who have got innovations, not each one of them has got facilities or access to facilities to be able to refine those innovations that they have. And that's where we really need to invest in those facilities, invest in research and development, invest in strengthening the partnerships that we have, and invest in communication. If we do that, we will harness those innovations. Thank you.
Thank you, Sela. He's saying invest, invest, invest. And this is the same message we had. We had a 3-day meeting, SADC ministerial meeting on education, training, science, technology, and innovation from Monday to today. And the key word is let's invest in order to reap and to drive the national development agenda. I will be coming to the next discussant. In this case is Henry Sauzande. You started your company from the grassroots, from where there was no hope to the pinnacle of success or whatsoever. I don't know how you put it. Our question is, how can we, before I ask maybe, what are the challenges? So you share with us, what are the challenges and opportunities for linking grassroots innovation to national development? From where you're coming from, do you think you would contribute, or could grassroots innovations contribute to national development? What are the challenges? What are the opportunities in there? Henry Sauzande, the angle dimension.
Thank you so much. I think in terms of the challenges, probably the best example I can give is the COVID-19 pandemic. So what it has done is, if you've realized, if you've noticed, all these countries, they have kind of kept their resources to themselves. So we found ourselves in a situation where, as a nation, we were unable to access resources. There was a sort of resource sovereignty, if I may call it that. Now, if we had the way or the opportunity which we could develop our own solutions, our own products, through industrialization and other initiatives, it means that as a country we were able to be self-reliant, give the example of China, where all these masks and different protective measures for COVID-19 were produced in China. So the demand ended up going to China and sort of other nations which are able to be self-reliant. So some of the challenges that maybe we faced, myself as running Ango Dimension, was kind of access to a marketplace, maybe access to financing, because some of these things are what brings up a company to say, all right, so if you have an idea, the regulator, for example, the central bank, can say, let's pair you up with a bank, try to work on such innovative solutions. Like, for example, in Tunisia, they've got the Startup Act, which allows grassroots innovation to thrive by providing finance, marketplace, and perhaps other opportunities that these companies wouldn't otherwise have found without such initiatives. So that's what I can speak on some of the challenges and opportunities.
Thank you, Henry Southern, for that. There is a component of registration that you've mentioned in terms of Startup Act, and that will be touched more by our colleagues as we proceed in there. But also the issue of bringing players together, the marketplace, linkages to banking and stuff like that. I would like now to finalize last question. We'll go to two discussants. They will tackle it back to back. The question which I have is, how can we create a culture of innovation? How can we create a culture of innovation? And I wanted, first of all, to give an opportunity to the most influential person in digital government, Talik Malik, to give us his view on this. And then secondly, as we finalize, I would like to ask Clement Panga, Director of Industry. I was with him. We have toured the innovation, the prototypes which are behind us, and maybe he can link that to policy, strategy, the environment. What could you say on that? And let's start with Talik.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I guess you can promote the culture of innovation by finding out the quick wins, by the homegrown solutions, looking at the homegrown solutions, advertising them and rewarding them by creating a just reward and recognition system, and bringing them in the mainstream and then scaling it up. So we have lots of examples where the countries where we have accelerator labs, where we identified the solutions that is suitable to one country, but a lot of other countries have taken actually note of it. So Center for Innovation of UNDP at Singapore has a big repository of such solutions where country can tap on and create their own culture of innovation.
Thank you, Talik Malik. He is talking of idea bank, technology banks, and the culture of rewarding innovations. And this is very critical and useful. And thank you very much for that. Yes, over to you, Director Industry.
Thank you, moderator. I will not congest my 2 minutes with information, but I hope that we'll be able to effectively communicate within those 2 minutes. What I will start with is to say, I think you harness innovation by creating a regulatory framework for it. Create a legal environment that in which innovation feels secure, protected, and ready to take off. So the Startup Act that my brother Southern mentioned here is something that I will take home. I think as government, our first role, in my role as an investment promotion and industrial development expert, our role is to listen to what the private sector thinks, and then thereafter we begin to respond to the private sector. So having that kind of act is one of those things that could happen. Also, I think we need to share here that the registrar of companies is transforming itself into an intellectual property office, and there's a new act of parliament that will come through that, and I think my colleagues in the Ministry of Justice should be congratulated for thinking about that, because then that also creates another ambit under which innovations will thrive. There has been a lot of innovation stealing around Malawi, obviously, because people were not feeling that they could possess on, and government could begin to seriously identify this as Professor Chomora's product. So that, I think, in itself is and then there's the softer side. Most often, offices like yours and mine who have a tendency to say, okay, for instance, in my case, we'll look at SMEs and we'll look at mega industries. But we need the receptacle in between of where we shall just be receiving innovators. Yeah, an idea bank scenario where you only listen and create a clinic for thought through of ideas and all that. I thank you.
Thank you, Kremen Panga. Again, let's give a big hand to him and all the discussants. I remember that Tariq Maliki also mentioned of the quick wins. The Malawi 2063, 42 years from now, has been subdivided into 4 decades. The first decade is called MIP1, Malawi Implementation Plan 1. In there are the quick wins and the low-hanging fruits. And this is what Tariq Malik is talking about. Let us exploit this. And I would like to now find out if there is 1 more minute. MC, do we have 1 or 2 more minutes for last views? Yeah, so 2 more minutes. Anyone who says now as a discussant, I think I had this strong point just to across all these questions which I raised. As we are thinking through, I'll give you the 2 minutes. I want to resound this, that the registrar, Department of Registrar General, is transforming to companies and intellectual property office. This is very critical transformation. The public sector reforms, which is, the bill is already accelerated and will be realized. And there is also the procurement of the new business systems registration portal and platform. This must be exploited by all innovators here in Malawi or wheresoever you are listening online. Yes, last words, Taliki Maliki.
Just 2 points. I think there is a misunderstanding that innovation is bringing out something new, or it's all about invention. It's not only invention, part of it is reforming the old processes into new and then bringing out something new as well. I wanted to link our discussion with the survey. Survey said how we can tackle the unemployment. And I think based on my experience, I was looking at 130 plus countries, 5 regions, and there is a lot of innovation among the youth entrepreneurship. So the freelancers, for example, in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, lot of underdeveloped countries, they are the workforce which bring a lot of revenue for the country. So instead of just looking at the government, the youth has a lot of potential, youth of Malawi, and they can actually make the difference. They can find their product, sell the product, and we are developing an ecosystem where Amazon can look at the buyers in Malawi, and through the national ID system, buyers and sellers can be connected, and they can provide the entrepreneurship.
Thank you. Sela, maybe you'll be the last one based on the time that we have, so you'll be concluding on behalf of all the discussants. Sarah Gondwe.
Okay, I wanted to resound the issue of mindset change, that as youth, as Malawians, we have the solutions within ourselves, but if we change our minds and focus that, we can work together to be able to bring about solutions to the problems that we have, and that will bring in the aspect also of innovation linked to entrepreneurship. You can't separate the two. So let's bring our minds and let's believe in ourselves that we can do it.
Mindset change, again, theme of this Vision 2063. Big hand to all the discussants as we conclude now. Thank you all. I appreciate you gave my time, made it very simple. You were very well prepared. May you now take your seats. Over back to the MC. Thank you.
Papano discussion imene nditu panali anthu osiyanasiyana kuchokeranso madera osiyanasiyana kuchoka ku mabanki ku maskula okachenjede anthu ochita mabizinesi ndi zina zoterozo kukambirana kuti kodi luso limeneli limene anthu amakhala nalo limene kuzopindula dziko komanso madera amene akukhalamo tingatani kuti zimenezi zipititsidwe patsogolo tingatani kuti zimenezi zikomera anthu ochuluka komanso ndi zina zoterozo pakambidwa mfundo zosiyanasiyana kuti ayi ngati dziko we need to invest nditu mwa anthu ngati amene omwe akapatsa maukadaulo ena apa mwamba kuposa amene achitira iwo kaya nditu ndi ndalama zimene kuti nditu apititse patali maluso awo kuti zimenezi zizipindulira nditu dziko lonse. Program imene nditu ikupitirabe kuno ku 4 Seasons kulilongwe kumene UNDP ikupanga launch Acclab koma innovations osiyanasiyana kuonetsa kuti ma innovations amenewo anthu amene akuchita maluso amenewo azipindulira ndithu dziko lino.
Development Director for FCDO, Ms. Fiona Ricci. I also saw Mr. Ikeda, Deputy Ambassador of Japan to Malawi. Senior government officials present, development partners, representative of academia present here today, representative of the private sector, UNDP colleagues, members of the press, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be joined today by our partners to officially launch the work of the United Nations Development Programme Accelerator Lab in Malawi, which is part of the world's largest and fastest learning network on sustainable development challenges, currently working on 115 countries worldwide. The pace of complex changes in the world is increasing. We see disruptive occurrences like COVID-19, climate change, the impact of technology on traditional job functions, and many other disturbances increasing in both frequency and intensity. In this kind of environment, traditional approach to development no longer works. We spend time to analyze and plan, and more often than not, we find ourselves playing catch-up with the reality. The Accelerator Lab takes different approach, starting from the issues and working out solutions. It is a collaborative platform through which we co-identify bottlenecks to address development challenges and co-design innovative solutions. Through the Accelerator Lab, we wish to nurture an in-depth understanding of the complex development challenges and quickly identify workable solutions that can be scaled up through our friends and wider networks. The Accelerator Lab in Malawi is structured around 4 main stages and provides a unique service to the development of Malawi. The first stage involves sensing, where we seek to understand emerging challenges and opportunities in the local context and determine what we need to focus our attention. The second stage is exploration, through which we seek to better understand the challenges and look for solutions. We particularly look at how citizens are already addressing these challenges and opportunities. The third one is a testing stage, whereby we design a portfolio of potential solutions to intervene at multiple points in the system and continuously test them until we are confident that they work. And the fourth and final stage involves growing, which relates to handing over the portfolio of solutions, advocate for policy change, or spin solutions off for our friends in the private sector. Through these works, the Accelerator Lab in Malawi brings with it a few value added. First, accelerated learning through experiments around portfolio of solutions rather than individual solutions, enabling us to learn about what works and what doesn't work in weeks or months rather than years and decades. Second, it offers elevated local solution and networks through mobilizing a wide and dynamic partnerships of actors that share knowledge and experience. And third, it leverages on UNDP's and our brothers and sisters in UN systems partnership with wide range of stakeholders, both within and outside of Malawi, for scaling up innovative solutions. While waiting for our environment to improve enough for us to be able to launch this platform, the Malawi Lab has been already working on several development challenges. One, for example, on waste management. Following a wide consultation and collaborative process, the lab explored the challenge of waste management in Malawi and has designed a portfolio of solutions that include mobile apps for waste, composting and biogas techniques, mobilizing community members for awareness, behavior change, and establishing a platform for knowledge sharing and coordination between waste management players and policymakers. In fact, the team won an innovation challenge competition at UNDP, and with funding from the government of Japan, organized a collaboration with the city of Yokohama in Japan and the cities of Blantyre, Lilongwe, and Muzuzu to share experience and knowledge about waste management, how to find solutions bottom up. Second, on COVID-19, we all know around last time this year how difficult it was to get hands on the basic PPEs. And everything seems to have been imported from outside of Malawi. It reminded us the risk of relying essential things on other people. The lab, in collaboration with local public universities, has supported strengthening the capacity of universities to locally produce PPEs in large numbers. Touchless hand washing stations and reagents used for testing coronavirus. The support ensures availability of those critical supplies even when international supply chains are disrupted. And building on the lab's work, few weeks ago, we just launched the coalition of 6 universities in Malawi and private sector in Blantyre in the presence of Ministry of Health to scale up production of PPEs in Malawi for Malawians, to protect Malawians and create jobs and employments for the future of Malawi. It would benefit directly 8,000 people and indirectly 1.3 million people. In addition to that, the team has been working on cooking fuels and technologies in response to sustainable energy and other emerging challenges. In addition to that, lastly, not only team has been working on physical innovation, but it has been working on the networks of innovators. This facilitates coordination of innovations by 6 leading public universities to ensure innovations are aligned with Malawi's national visions and strategies. The team consists of 6 public universities National Planning Commission, as well as universities abroad and engineers without borders by extension. So with those works, this launch comes at the opportune time to brief you on what we are doing already and really to ask you to work with us to unleash the talents Malawi has for the future of Malawi. The lab is for you and for Malawi, and we wish to see talents and wisdom of Malawi unleashed for the accelerated development of Malawians by Malawians for Malawians. So with that, I wish to finish my remark. Thank you very much for all your partnership and collaboration, and I wish you the nice rest of the evening. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's better.
So good evening. This looks really much more like a party. No, it's so cool. Thank you very much. I really love it. And actually the band, the presentations, the innovators, honestly, we are getting an environment, even with the cold of Lilongwe tonight, yeah, not even the tea that I'm taking is able to take the coldness, but I think we are really experiencing something that the lab is about, that is really to make us think differently, that actually development can be a very cool thing if we think about it and we really take it from the bottom of our hearts, we can make the difference. So let me recognize our guest of honor, Dr. Winford Mansanjala, Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development and Public Sector Reforms. It's great to have you here, precisely because the whole effort is about scaling up and how this brings about the decade of development in Malawi. My colleague, Shigeki Komatsubara, UN Resident Representative, after working with him 3 years, I cannot speak Japanese, sorry, for the colleague over there, we rely on you for the salutations. I was very impressed, really. Congratulations. And really all the colleagues from UNDP who are here, I really want to recognize also Claire Medina, who was at the origin of this idea and really has been the person behind the scenes. So please, I think she really deserves this applause because it has been her work that has made this possible as well. Fiona Ritchie, representing FCDO, but also I think in spirit all the development partners that have made this possible. You see the amount of people that has made possible this investment. And really all of you who are here, I mean, the innovators, the young people and people who is not so young, like the person who was there 50 years, still innovating, fantastic. So I think this is, I just want to say 2-3 things because we really want to listen to our guests of honor. So I think what we are seeing tonight, thanks to the lab, is the opportunity that Malawi has to show that there are not just issues, but there are also solutions. And that it is not that there are not solutions, but we have not maybe looking into our own capacity to address problems with the right tools. And I think that's the first thing that is so clear in the lab work, that they are really bringing about the know-how, that they are connecting that with the best possible techniques so they can be tested. Second, I think the lab is asking us to elevate our level of ambition. And honestly, I think this is not only about universities working together. I think if you listen to what the idea of the lab is about, is universities are going to help perfectionate investments in research. But we need the banking system also behind. I'm so happy that the Standard Bank colleague Graham, who I know is very passionate about these issues, was sitting there to think on how to make finances accessible to people who has ideas. And we really need to bring things to a scale. There is no way that we are going to bring things to a scale without finances. But I also want to elevate the level of ambition of the lab to think not only in the Malawi market, but now that Malawi is part of the Africa Continental Trade Agreement, Free Trade Agreement, what about Malawi solutions for the African continent? So this is something that I think it's great. I was discussing one of the innovators, how he's creating the bicycle out of totally clean energy, which is kind of the future of our cities. Also trying to bring that to the wheelchairs of persons with disabilities. So this is really bringing solutions that are adapted to our times. So I think without further ado, I really loved the words of Sarah Gongwe in terms of mindset. I think to believe that actually we can do it, and we have all the resources, whether it are the ideas, the finances, or the ability to bring solutions out of our borders is possible in Malawi. We believe in that. This is part of the SDGs, and I think the United Nations represent the partnership for the goals, and we are here to continue working with you. Thank you very much. This is terrific. Thank you, UNDP.
Good evening, everyone. I'm made to understand that this function is being streamed, and therefore there are people that are watching, but for the past couple of minutes they have not been able to connect with us because we've been speaking in tongues. So before I make my formal speech, I just wanted to speak to that person who is out there who cannot understand us in the other languages. Nangoti ndipereke moni kwa Malawi wonse amene akutimvera kandi anantini kumudziko anyabanda chakumpoto kapena abiti nyono kumusiku tifuna tiupaseni moni madzulo ano. Ine ndine Masanjala mlembi wa munduna woyang'anira za mapulani a boma ndi kusintha zina zakagwiridwe ntchito kaboma. Ine ndatumidwa nda vice president amene amenera kuti akhale pano koma chifukwa cha zina zochitika sanathe kukhala nafe madzulo ano. Chotero choyamba changa nkupepesa kuti sanathe kubwera pano. Titatha kupepesa chotero timafuna tinene kuti mwachidule ifeyo ngati boma ndife okondwa kwambiri kuti madzulo alero tili pano kuchitira umboni ndi kudzayambitsa ntchito imene iyi yotumbatumba kupalira ndiponso kupititsa patsogolo ntchito ya maluso. Anyamata athu ali ndi maluso, ndichofunika kwambiri kuti tiapatse mwayi ndi chilimbikitso kuti ntchitoyi ikathe kugwiridwa. Nzeru yachewa amanena kuti chikumbutsa nkhwangwa nchisanu, muchizungu amati necessity is the mother of invention. Ndiye chifukwa chonena kuti Malawi ili ndi mavuto ambiri, paliso mwayi wambiri onena kuti anyamata athu amaluso akhoza kuchitapo kanthu posova mavuto amene tili nawowa. Ndetu kunena kuti amene atithandizawa a UN kupanga acceleration lab imeneyi ndi zinthu zaphindu kwambiri ndi zonyaditsa ndipo zikuyenderana ndi malingaliro a boma onena kuti popita chitsogolo dziko lino litukuke, ndipo pakutukuka tigwiritse ntchito maluso ngati chimodzi mwa zida zokatithandiza ife kupanga chitukuko mdziko muno. Tinenanso kunena kuti dziko la Malawi tsopano lili ndi plani yayikulu Malawi 2063 imene kutitengera zaka 43 zikubwerazi kukafika mchaka chimene cha 2063. Malingaliro athu ndi chiyembekezo chathu nchonena kuti pofika nthawi imeneyo Malawi adzakhala otukuka pachuma ndipo adzakhala ali mgulu la mayiko amene tikwanena kuti ndi middle income countries. Tili ndi chiyembekezo chonena kuti masomphenya amenewa tiyachita pokwadula mu mphindo zingapo. Mphindo yathu yoyamba ndi zaka 10 zikubwera zino kuchokera pano mpaka na chaka cha 2030 tikuitcha kuti the first implementation plan. Ndipo titachita bwino mene tikuganizira ngakhale mu chaka cha 2030 amalawi tikhoza kukhala mu lower middle income. Gulu la maiko achokako kumphawi amba kukhala ngati akuoneka motsangukako pang'ono. Zidalira inu ine ndi aliyense amene ndi maluso ndikufuna kwabwino kuti tikafikire pamenepo. Kumudziko limbani mtima chitukuko chikubwera. The UN Resident Coordinator, Mrs. Marie-José Torres, the United Nations Development Program Resident Representative, Mr. Shigeki Komatsubara, Ms. Fiona Ricci, the Development Director for FCDO, fellow senior government officials present here, development partners, representative of the academy that are here, representative of the private sector, the UN family, members of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be with you this evening and to stand before you as a guest of honor, but representing the Vice President who was supposed to come here, but because of other pressing engagements, he was unable to come. And therefore, I stand in his stead just to make a few observations. The first observation that I wanted to make is to congratulate the UN and their partners that have made this event possible. We are talking about the German government and also the Qatar Fund. And therefore, as Malawi government, we are really very appreciative of the assistance and collaboration that we are getting from the UN and the other collaborating partners. Thank you very much. I also wanted to highlight the point that as government, we believe what's happening now is consistent with the Malawi 2063 vision. And I'm saying this because when you look at the Malawi 2063 vision, Malawi aspires to be an upper middle income country by the year 2063. And we are saying in our first Malawi implementation program, we are going to look at the first 10 years. And we are saying by the year 2030, consistent with the SDGs, Malawi should graduate into a lower middle income country if we do what we have pledged to do in the Malawi 2063. And therefore, when we look at ourselves, we think the innovations that are being promoted by the lab will be very critical in coming up with a national development momentum that will help us achieve what we want to achieve in these years that we have before us. So let me make a few notes and then we can call it an evening. The Malawi 2063, in Chichewa, we are just saying Zoteka. It is possible. So there are a lot of things that we are dreaming about, and it is possible. And we believe with innovations and technology, it is possible for Malawi to be where we dream to be. In the vision, we are looking at 3 pillars. Agriculture, productivity, and commercialization is the first one. If Malawi is going to develop, we need to do agriculture differently. The agriculture that we do now, rain-fed, depending on handheld hoe, etc., cannot take us where we want to be. If you look at Malawian agriculture, our productivity per hectare is less than productivity of other African countries. It's less than 1/2 of the productivity of other African countries. So we need to do something differently, because the way we are doing agriculture now is actually not agriculture as a business, but agriculture as a survival strategy. We need to look at agriculture differently. And an argument that we are making is, if agriculture is going to change and productivity is going to rise, we need to commercialize. We need to bring irrigation. We need to look at different technologies that can allow us to produce better. So we are looking at innovations that will help us change agriculture and transform the agricultural sector into one that's really going to be a source of growth, a productivity growth, and it also feed into industry. The second element in the vision then is industrialization, with mining as an emphasis or focal point. So these are two different elements, but in terms of mining, the government has made a decision that mining is going to be the source of transformation for Malawi. Therefore, going forward, Malawi is going to catalyze and facilitate mining in a way that the share of mining in GDP should rise in excess of 10%. And then we are looking at industrialization itself, especially looking at mining, because in Malawi, mining used to constitute close to 20% at some point in the 90s. It's fallen down to somewhere around 10, 11%. We need to resuscitate mining and we need to resuscitate industry. So the question for us is, how do we resuscitate industry? And we believe innovation is one way to resuscitate industry, as it were. The last element is urbanization, with an emphasis also on tourism. Malawians have always talked about tourism and how beautiful we are. But if you look at ourselves, we are really beautiful. But beauty takes you so far. We need to do something about tourism, which will actually make tourism an industry that's viable. Therefore, when we look at our natural resources and all the beauty that we talk about, we need to value add to the natural resources and natural beauty. Because if somebody comes to the lake and they sit by the lake for 30 minutes, then what? They need something to do at the lake beyond just looking at fresh water. And therefore, we need value addition even in tourism, to make sure tourism is really something. And when we are talking about urbanization, you have been to Malawian cities. I don't want to say you live in one, because there's questions about that. But you've been to Lilongwe, and you've been around here about 5 o'clock. You can't get to Kawale in 30 minutes. About 5 o'clock, you can't get to certain parts of Lilongwe. And we are making an argument that we actually need cities that have got municipal services that make them livable. And therefore, in the next couple of years, for example, under the Malawi Vision, Malawi 2063 Vision and the first implementation plan, we have asked all the city councils to give us a dualization plan for roads. Malawians being who they are, they never believed that it can be done. So the city councils were just saying, okay, we've done this before, get that list and see what you can do. So we said, okay, we are working with what you have. So for Lilongwe, for example, we are committed that in the next 3 years, we should dualize the M1. So we are looking at dualizing from Kanengo to Lilongwe CCAP. We are looking at tripleizing Kenyatta Drive from Parliament Roundabout, 3 lanes each way up to Nico Center. We are looking at tripleizing Kamzu Central to Amina Roundabout and then going to Crossroads, and from Kamzu Central Roundabout going all the way to CCAP. And just for fun and good measure, we have also added the dualization of the Kaunda Road from Bingu Roundabout going towards Nsungwi. So we expect that urbanization will be a very significant pillar, and these are things that government is committed to doing. So as government is doing this, we now expect that individuals and citizens with ideas can be encouraged to do things that will contribute to the achievement of the vision. When you look at the issue of innovation, if I'm to zero in on that, government has made a decision that innovation and technological advancement are going to be part of the government agenda. For the longest time, the Ministry of Education was called Ministry of Education, Science and Technology. But they never had a division or a directorate that dealt with science and technology. Last year, government created that directorate, and our colleague, Dr. Mikeka, is now the director, just to highlight the point that we are taking innovation seriously. You have also heard the fact that we are changing the Registrar General's mandate to look into issues of intellectual property, etc., instead of just registering companies and keeping them on file. The National Commission for Science and Technology has submitted to government a proposal for an innovation park. We are looking at it and seeing if we can afford or interest somebody to help us develop an innovation park. And given what the UN has started with this lab, we think there is room for collaboration going forward. So we have all these innovations, we have all these ideas that we are looking at, and therefore I think the future is bright. It has been said before, and I want to buttress the point. If we are going to have the innovations that we are thinking about, we need to think outside the box. And this is something that's repeated rhetorically, but I mean we actually need to think differently. I am, by Malawian standards, an educated person. But what that means is I am a person who has been conditioned to think in a certain way. And therefore, I have difficulty with somebody who has not been to a university, who is trying to do something, because in my mind, I think they are supposed to go through certain steps. We need a facilitatory, regulatory environment. And I'm going to give you the example of the guy from Mulanje who, using pieces of waste, etc., made a radio station. Having made a radio station and started broadcasting to his community, we went and arrested him. And that's how innovation dies. Because here is somebody who has got all this ability without going to school. In the same way, this guy that made electricity, you know, if you make electricity, the Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority will have an issue with you because you haven't gone through the steps, etc. I want to congratulate the Malawi University of Science and Technology because they have decided that they are going to be taking on people like these who have no letters or certificates, but they have a talent for something and an ability to do a certain thing, and have them incubate the talent and see if this is scalable and something can be done about it. And I think our universities need to think like this because there are so many people out there. I know when I was a student at Chancellor College, we had the music department. When they were training their students, they would invite Black Paseli and Bale Paseli. And these are musicians who had no education at all, but they were maestros in music. And they would teach the university students music. We need to have programs like those where people with talent and natural ability can interface with those of us who are being conditioned through letters and alphabets. So let me finish by thanking you all for coming tonight. And as Marie has said, it really looks like a party. You look lovely tonight. And I want to thank you all for coming and listening to us. But let me thank the United Nations family and their collaborating partners for this event. And this being the start of this lab, we look forward to collaborating with yourselves going forward. On behalf of the Malawi government, I want to express our commitment to future collaboration on this and for the different things that are going on. Your participation in the Academy of Sciences, in the consortium that's looking at innovation and things. We want to encourage you and we want to commit that we will be with you all the way. At that juncture, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great honor and pleasure to declare this accelerator lab officially open. I thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
It felt like we're in an economics class. It was lovely. It was very inspiring. I'll borrow two words or one word from what you said, guest of honor. Malawi 2063, Zodiak. So can I ask the crowd to respond by saying Zodiak when I say Malawi 2063? Are we ready? Malawi 2063. Zodiak. Malawi 2063. Zodiak. Thank you very much. To symbolize the launch of this lab, the team organized a plaque, and that plaque is by the photo booth over there. I'll ask Wasili Mfungo to lead our guest of honor, together with the UNDP resident representative and the UN resident coordinator, to witness the guest of honor signing that plaque and to get a picture by the photo booth over there. When that is done, I would like to he will showcase the plaque so that we all just bear witness of this launch, and we will then have Daughter's band playing in the background. The night is still young, and we invite you to continue. I think there's some tea, some coffee over there, and I will ask you to continue just networking, exchanging contacts, meeting members of the lab so you can get their details, and we'll wrap it up in a few minutes after that. Thank you. This is where I come from. You may also get a peek of the signing of the plaque by the guest of honor, and then I'll ask him to hold it up so that we may all see that the lab, which is amongst 91 labs in 115 countries, has been launched here in Malawi, and you were part of this auspicious occasion. A big thank you to Mibawa, a big thank you to UNDP and the UN family in Malawi, a big thank you to the German Embassy and the Qatar Foundation, a big thank you to Mibawa and Destiny Band, and a big thank you to each and every one of you for showing up tonight.
It's amazing how nature falls in sync. I see the reason why he said it was good. Amazing creation. As the mother and daughter fetch water from the stream, they sing beautiful songs of peace. In some ululation, the men gather under shades of beautiful trees, and peaceful reasoning is all I see.
As soon as the guest of honor is done with the pictures, just to wrap up the night, my colleague Soyapi Mumba will come up here once again just to show the results from the Senti questionnaire that was undertaken I think some 30 minutes ago or before the speeches, to showcase some of the responses that you shared and users or viewers shared as to solutions to the challenges that are facing Malawi. So I'll ask you to just draw your attention to the screen as Soyapi shares the results in a moment. This will take just a few minutes. Thank you. Soyapi, please. This is where I come from.
I'm looking at the beautiful skies in the green.
your responses to our question. As we can see on the screen, we've had 71 responders and to 71 mnayankha mafunso tinafunsa aja kupeza njira zabwino kwambiri kuti tithane ndi vuto la kusowa kwa ntchito, best solutions for youth unemployment. So let's zoom in on the responses themselves and look at the trends. We can see talent development being a highlight. We need to develop talent of our youths, and there are related answers there. I can see vocational training, I can see youth centers, skills training, entrepreneurial skills development. There's an issue of training. We need to train our youths. Niwona nitu mayankho kuza maphunziro anthu aphunzire maluso oti athandize kuti apange ma business alembe anzawo ntchito kapena apeze ntchito. I'm also seeing issues to do with soft loans, access to funding, capital. Ena ndithu alemba mchichewa government izipereka ngongole, so issues to do with ngongole, anthu afuna achinyamata azitha kupeza ndalama zoyambira ma business. So tathokoza kwambiri pa mayankho ambiri amene mwapereka anthu 71 munatha kugwira nafe ntchito kuti tipeze mayankho, kuti tipeze njira zoti tithane ndi kusowa kwa ntchito kwa achinyamata athu. Njira zonsezi mwaziperekazi tikaziona bwinobwino ndipo tikapitiriza kuzifufuza kuti ndi ziti zimene zingathedi kuti thandiza kuthana ndi vuto la kusowa ntchito. Zikomo kwambiri chifukwa cha kutengapo mbali kuti tipeze mayankho amenewa, tipitiriza kugwira limodzi. Thank you very much for working with us to find solutions to youth unemployment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that presentation. One organization that
amene pandithu ndi pa malechereche a mwambo umene unali ku Four Seasons mu mzinda wa Lilongwe. Koma nene kuti ku malechereche a mwambo umenewu tinamva ndithu kuyankhula kwa anthu angapo, Mr. Shingeki Komatsubara amene ndithu ndi a UNDP resident representative, komanso Mai Marie Jose Torres UN resident coordinator, nawonso ndithu mmene ayankhulapo kuti kodi mwambo umenewu auona motani. Ndipo ku malechereche ndithu tinaona Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development and Public Sector Reforms, Dr. Nwiford Masanjala, na onso ndithu ayankhula kunena kuti zimene zachitika tsiku lero ndithu ndi zimenso boma la Malawi likuganizirapo kuti tikuyendetsa maluso osiyana-siyana kuti azithandiza ndithu kufikira mavuto amene mwina mdziko muno tikuma nawo, komanso nachapo nkhani ya 2063 kuti nawonso ndithu masomphenya awo ndioterowo kuti zimenezi zimathandiza kupititsa patsogolo ndithu tourism and industry. Komanso kunena kuti anthu amene amachita maluso amenewa University ya Mast inapatsa danga kuti akhoza kupita kumeneko ukapanga ndithu enhance zochitika zawo mosatengera kuti kodi maphunziro awo ali motani. Nde mmenemo ndithu ndi mmene tamalizira kuno ndithu ku Four Seasons mu mzinda wa Lilongwe. Koma tinenenso kunena kuti apapa ndithu siwa mathero zenizeni yayi ifoti anthu kuno akhale akuchezerana kumwa zakumwa kudya ndithu zosiyana-siyana, koma ndithu nkhani yake ndikupanga connect interact ndikuona kuti kodi anthu tingachite motani kukweza ndithu maka maluso osiyana-siyana kuno kwathu ku Malawi. Na usiku otamandika zonse zayamba ndithu ma 5:30 kufika nthawi ino ndekuti yayi tikukwangula tikupseda zonse, koma nkhani yake kuti Malawi tigwirane manja pamene mabungu yaubwera imoteremu bomanso kwina kupanga mbali yake, nafenso ngati anthu tipange mbali yathu kuti anthu amene ali maluso osiyana-siyana nawonso ndithu azipita ndithu patsogolo, azionekera kugulu, maluso azipita patsogolo. Ifeto maluso amenewa ndiothandiza ndithu kupititsa patsogolo chitukuko cha dziko lino. Pakhale ndithu mayimbidwenso a Daughters Band ya mayokaoka amene ali ndithu lotamandika pamene anthu kuno akuchezerana kuyendayenda kumwa zomwayimwa ndi zina zoteronso. Ndithokoze anthu onse amene akuyana ntchito kuno panali tu anthu athu azida anzathu amakamera ndi ena onse amene athamangathamanga kuti program imene ndithu iteke zonsezi ziyende bwino moteremu komanso a UNDP potidalira ife Mibawa kuti ayi zonsezi tionetse pakanema wa Mibawa ameneyi ndikhupa kuti nanunso ndithu mwatulapo ziwiri zingapo kudzera muzochitika zosiyanasiyana zimene zachitika kuno. Langa dzina ndi Abena Chidzanja Nkhoma kuchoka kuno kuli Longwe.
Daughters Band, you may take the floor. Thank you.
UEFA Euro 2020, Europe's grandest football championship with Europe's grandest players.
Oh, what a goal! Ronaldo!
It's not about where it's played, but how it's played. And when it's played on a stage this big by players this intense, it's anyone's game. UEFA Euro 2020. Get and stay connected to DSTV to watch UEFA Euro 2020 on dedicated SuperSport channels.
Her soapies shouldn't give your game the red card. No matter your DSTV package, download the DSTV app to watch the entertainment you love on your TV screen, on any screen, by linking up to 5 devices to your subscription at no extra cost. Watch live or catch up with the DSTV app.
Showmax. You've heard the name, but what exactly is Showmax?